water. Someone is having a party across the street. Let me just tell ya, our street is filled with cars right now. Hello you guys, welcome to day 2 of the 12 days of Livfiitmas. Today's video was actually requested. We're basically going to be doing kind of a full body circuit 101 breakdown debriefing situation. I got a comment where someone was asking me to essentially just kind of break down my full body circuits a little bit more and include regressions for each exercise, especially for beginners. But I also want to talk to you guys just kind of how full body circuits have really changed my fitness routine and how it's also changed my approach and outlook on fitness, why I do them, why I think they're important. And then for the second half of the video, I'm going to walk you through a whole entire full body circuit workout that you can complete on your own. So let me give you a little bit of background. Growing up, I was always very active. I was very into sports. I played lacrosse and basketball, tennis for like a season. I ran track. So I just was very active. I also had very active hobbies as well. You know, I snow skied, wakeboarded, wake surfed, longboard, paddleboarded, all that sort of stuff. I just liked being very active. So I had more of like kind of an athletic component to me. Then after high school, I obviously went to college and I did not pursue any sort of sports in college. So that's when I turned to weight training and just like being in the gym. I feel like that's how all the story goes. During that time, I was literally only weight training for like years and years on end. I think like 3 or 4 years, probably 3 years. Yeah, I was like only really doing weight training. I would go through phases of doing some HIIT cardio, but that was only when I was trying to lose weight and it had nothing to do with my like overall athleticism. I was lifting very heavy. I was about 10, 15 pounds heavier than I am now. I had a lot more muscle mass on me, which is fine. I'm not demonizing that. I just got to a point where I felt so unathletic. Like I remember trying to run and it was like the hardest thing in the world. Like I just was cardiovascularly very out of shape and just being like, I just did not feel like an overall athlete. I felt super, super slow and very one-dimensional with a background of being very athletic, being very quick, you know, having more running and speed and agility be a bigger part of my fitness. It was a very big whoa moment, like what's going on? Hang on, I don't know how I like this. So that was kind of what initially sparked me wanting to turn to different forms of exercise. And now I love my full body circuits for that reason alone. They help so much with preserving athleticism and making sure that you're being built in like an all-around athletic way in life. Like it's great to be able to be strong in the gym and lift a lot of weight and have that be supporting your physique goals and all that sort of stuff. But the reality of it is like we should be taking care of our health for the longevity factor of things. And there are very little activities in life that require you to just stand in one place to like lift something that's very heavy. Like so much of life is multidimensional, of movements, of twisting, of rotating. Like just training with full body circuits actually mimics a lot more of your real life movements that like happen in your day-to-day life. So with my full body circuits, I incorporate a lot of different components. So there's not only some strength there, like we're still using resistance training, but just with a lot lighter weights, or it's just body weight movements. We're training for footwork, agility, speed, balance, explosivity, all that sort of stuff. So it just is way more of an athletic, well-rounded workout. And I can tell you it helps so much with that for me. I feel so much faster. I feel so much more lighter on my feet. I feel so much more coordinated, agile. And of course, it helps so much with my cardiovascular system as well. A lot of these movements and a lot of these circuits definitely are getting our heart rate up 100%. I would not classify it as HIIT because HIIT just has more shorter bounds of just very high intense movement where the sole purpose is to get your heart rate up. These are more functional movements where we're moving in more than one plane of motion. We're incorporating different components of speed and agility and explosivity. Not everything is super fast paced and not every single exercise really gets your heart rate up, but there's always different components that are kind of being put to the test in the workouts. So my full body circuits are usually pretty short. Like the workouts are always under 30 minutes. They're anywhere between like 20 to 30 minutes long. I also want to say being consistent with these full body circuits for whatever reason has really helped me maintain my weight as well 100% and my muscle mass. So I just highly recommend it. I only do this once a week. You really don't need to go overboard. It's not something you need to be doing 5-6 days a week. I just do it once a week. I'm reaping the benefits of it. I love it so much. And it's adding so much more diversity into my training, which I personally think is the best way to train. Because again, athletes are where there's the most longevity. We want to be able to hold our own in so many different facets and seasons of life. And that's what I feel like a full body circuit circuit really preps you for. So without further ado, let's get into the workout. Like I said, there is an advanced version and then like a moderate and beginner version for every single exercise. So any level that you are, you'll be able to do this workout. So I hope you guys enjoy it. So for this workout, I'm going to be sharing with you guys kind of 2 to 3 different variations. I'm going to definitely be showing an advanced version of a full body circuit and then definitely a beginner version, but there may be kind of a step in between to give you a couple of different options for a regression. So for the advanced workout, you're going to be doing each of these exercises for 40 seconds on, followed by a 20-second rest. There's 8 exercises here as normal, and then we're going to be running through this for a total of 3 times through the whole entire circuit. For moderate, feel free to do 30 seconds on of each exercise, followed by 20 seconds rest. And for a beginner, just to make it a little bit more even, you're going to do 30 seconds on for each exercise, followed by a 30-second rest. So there, it's kind of a 1-to-1 ratio where you're resting just as long as you are working. Okay, so for exercise number 1, this is kind of more of a CrossFit-esque movement. This is a single arm clean and jerk. So this is for the advanced movement. You're going to come down. We're in a big sumo squat position. Our feet are just past shoulder width apart, toes pointed out. We're going to drop our hips back and down like we're sitting in a chair. The first half of this is almost like an upright row to hit our shoulder. And once you hit in between kind of your waist to your chest, as you come up, you're going to rotate up and do an overhead press. So this is what it is, supposed to be one fluid motion. You are supposed to be using a little bit more momentum here, just because it's more of a power-based movement. And so you're gonna be doing this for half the time. If you're doing this for 40 seconds, at the 20-second mark, you're going to switch hands and stay right here again, driving up through my heels and really trying to explode up out of that squat and shoot that dumbbell overhead. I'm gonna be so out of breath throughout the tutorials. For more of a moderate or beginner variation, we're kind of gonna take out that single arm portion. We're gonna simplify things. We still are in our sumo stance squat. We're gonna come down into our squat and we're just going to press up overhead and stay right like here. Again, pressing up through those heels, trying to explode out from the bottom of the squat. And we still have some shoulder activation with the press. Exercise number 2, for the advanced version, we're gonna be taking a dumbbell, pressing it up overhead. This is going to be a reverse lunge. There's kind of a multi-step process. Reverse lunge into a step up into a knee drive while holding the dumbbell overhead. So this is really hitting all areas. It's definitely a full body exercise. So we're gonna come down into reverse lunge, step up with that back leg. Now is gonna be your front leg to step up, and then you're doing a knee drive with the opposite leg. And we're just staying here. That dumbbell overhead is not moving. We're really keeping our core nice and tight throughout the whole movement. This definitely is requiring a lot of balance, and we wanna really be shooting our knee up to our chest by squeezing our core. Halfway through, we're gonna switch, come down with the other leg and shoot the other leg up towards our chest. Again, trying to keep our arms nice and straight up overhead. This one kind of has 2 different regressions I have for you guys. For the moderate regression, we're gonna take out that step up. We're gonna hold the dumbbell overhead. We're gonna come down and stay here with a reverse lunge. And we're just gonna stay up with the knee drive. Again, same thing, really pulling that belly button to our spine and trying to shoot our knee up to our chest. Same thing to switch sides. So this is the moderate version. We still have that dumbbell overhead. If you want to regress even a little bit further towards a more beginner variation, we're going to take out the overhead weight completely and just stick with a reverse lunge to a knee drive. And we're gonna stay right here. Everything else is the same, except now we have our hands free as well to help with the balance component. And we also don't have that stress of our shoulders for that stability with that weight. Next exercise, exercise number 3. This one only has 1 regression. So for the advanced version, we're going to take a Bosu ball, it may look familiar, swip it upside down. So now we have an unstable base, but this is great because it's going to get some more core activation. So here we're going to, there's little kind of notches in here. I like to stick my thumbs in there just to kind of make sure I don't slide. And we're gonna get into a nice tabletop push-up position. My neck is in line with my spine, my hips and my spine are all in a straight line. I'm gonna come down into a push-up, explode up, and go into 4 mountain climbers. So the point, again, of this upside down Bosu ball, it's making the ground now unstable, making more of a stability component that's needed, which is therefore gonna have more core activation here. Now for the more beginner version, we're gonna take that out. Again, a more stable ground is obviously a little bit more easier, especially for a beginner. We're gonna come back up in that tabletop push-up position. Instead of a push-up, what we're gonna do is just do a shoulder tap, 1 to each side, and then go into our 4 mountain climbers. Shoulder taps and then mountain climbers. With these mountain climbers, I'm keeping my belly button to my spine, really sucking my ab muscles in to really have more stability and recruit those ab muscles. Just gotta wet my whistle, you know? Talking while doing exercise, it's harder than it looks. Okay, now we're gonna do a side lunge to a knee drive. My main purpose with this exercise was for more of a balance component into it. So for the advanced version of the exercise, we're gonna come down into a little side lunge. But from here, we're going to explode up and try to bring, again, another knee drive, our knee to our chest, sucking our belly button to our spine. And we're trying to remain as stable as we can after exploding up. So we're coming down and exploding up and trying to really stay super stable. I always mix up the arms. Yeah, it's this. Okay, so when you come down to the lunge, your arms should shoot up the same side as your working leg, and then you're going to switch as you drive that knee up in the air. So again, trying to really stabilize and get super tight after we explode up out of the side lunge. So here's the other side to switch hands. Same arm with same leg, and then shoot up and switch those legs. And then for the beginner regression, we're gonna come down into a side lunge again, but we're just going to explode off, and we're going to forget about the knee drive. So we still have that explosivity component, and we're still trying to keep that core nice and tight. Exercise number 5 is a kettlebell swing. This one is great for the legs and specifically the glutes, another power and explosivity movement. So this is for the advanced version, is going to be this kettlebell swing. So we're gonna come, I kind of like to start to get some momentum kicking. You're just going to drop the kettlebell behind you, and you're effortlessly just gonna let your torso kind of fold over. It's not necessarily a squat, and I'm not bending over. This is more of like a hip hinge movement. You can kind of picture it like an RDL. We're gonna push our hips back, and I'm exploding up by pushing my hips forward, trying to drive the kettlebell through by squeezing through my heels, driving up through my heels, and squeezing my glutes to push my hips forward. And again, my arms are just dead hanging. They're just hooks for the weight. I'm not pulling up with my shoulders or with my hands. The only reason why the kettlebell is moving is from the thrust of my hips. For a regression, I'm just gonna have you guys do some good old glute bridges instead. You can still use the same kettlebell. This still has the same explosivity up from the hips, but without having it have so many components from your full body. So everything else is nice and stationary. I'm driving up through my heels, trying to really explode out and push my hips towards the sky, and my heels are underneath my ankle. I mean, my knees are over my ankles. All right, next we're going to do some Supermans, which these are brutal. I'm not gonna lie, these always make me wheeze. This is great for our whole posterior chain, but really our back, our glutes, our low back, everything, it's awesome. So we're gonna lay on our bellies. We're gonna start with our hands overhead, and we're going to basically be squeezing, trying to bring our chest as high up as we can off the ground, as well as trying to get our toes off the ground by squeezing our glutes. So we kind of have 2 motions in one. But as I lift up my chest, I'm also bringing my elbows towards my hips, towards my side, and squeezing my lats. So we have a lot going on. I'm also squeezing my glutes as well to get my feet up off the ground. And then for the regression of that, we're going to have a lying bird dog. So again, we're still on our bellies, and we're going to lift opposite arm with opposite leg. So our chest isn't coming off the ground, but we're still squeezing our glutes, squeezing our low back to get our feet off the ground. And we're also using our shoulders to get our arms off the ground. Now, if you're a regular on the channel, you know we always finish my full body circuits with some ab work. So the next 2 exercises are some very isolated ab work. This is pretty much about the only time during the week where I really do isolated ab work. So still have our handy dumbbell, the all-star of this workout today. And we're basically, I'm kind of gonna call this a dumbbell V-up. It's not a full V-up, but it's not just solely a leg lift. So I'm essentially gonna bring the dumbbell back down behind me until I'm just about to touch the ground. My feet are just about to touch the ground, but they're not. And then I'm going to bring the 2 together, and I'm going to do a little bit of a crunch at the top to try to reach for my toes with that dumbbell. Come back down and come up. Squeezing the abs again, trying to tuck our belly button into our spine like a drawstring, and we're really trying to reach for our toes at the top of the movement. Now for a moderate regression, we're going to hold the dumbbell up overhead, and we're just gonna stick here with some flutter kicks at the bottom. And if you want to go to more of a beginner regression, we're just going to drop the dumbbell, keep our hands to our sides, and just stick with some flutter kicks down low. Again, always making sure that our heels are not resting on the ground, and I'm also keeping my chest nice and raised off the ground as well. For the last exercise, we're going to keep our legs nice and straight. This kind of makes me think of Pilates, but we're basically just going to be dropping our legs down like a scissor kick. But as we do, we're going to bring our opposite elbow to opposite knee at the same time that we are switching our legs. My shoulder blades are nice off the ground, keeping my core nice and tight. My belly button is pressed towards my spine. Lower back is also pressed into the mat. And then for a regression for that, we're just going to go into bicycles instead with a bent leg. It turned into a free-for-all here really fast. And that is it for day 2 of the 12 days of Livfiitmas. I really hope you enjoyed this video, a very educational, fitness-oriented one. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm sending you so much love, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video. Peace out.